Yeah, absolutely. Make it, you know, all of us have to go for the master.
All right, it is 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call our November 10th, 2025, Thornapple Township Board Meeting to order. Board, may the discussions we share and decisions we make this evening reflect your leadership and your influence in our lives. Amen. You all please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Diane, your roll call.
Schaefer,
Here.
Bouchard. Here. Campbell.
Present.
Dimash.
Here.
Stanton.
Here.
Rary. Here. Maidenblick. Here.
All right, we're on to approval of the printed agenda, and I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the printed agenda as presented. Printed, not consent, that's next.
I'll make that motion.
Support. Motion of support to approve the agenda as printed agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we're on to number 5, approval of consent agenda. I don't know why, but the minutes of the October 21st special meeting was two-sided, and for some reason when I scanned it, only one side scanned. So I need to pull that from the consent agenda, and also letter D, the invoice GL distribution report and approval list. I need to pull that, and we'll move that to letter D. We'll move that to next meeting. So that being said, with those two items, with B and D being removed, I would be happy to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Go ahead. Second.
Motion with support to approve the consent agenda as amended. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Diane, your roll call.
Stanton.
Yes.
Dimash.
Here.
Bouchard. Yes. Campbell.
Yes.
Rary. Yes. Maidenblick. Yes. Schaefer.
Yes. And as I said, next thing I'd like to do is the minutes that I put at the table from October 22nd. I would like to make a motion to, I would be happy to entertain a motion to approve those minutes as presented. 21st.
21st.
Did I say 22nd? I didn't mean 21st.
So moved.
Support. Motion of support to approve the minutes of October 21st, 2025. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. We are on to number 6, first public comment. And if anyone's welcome to come up and speak, only caveat is, please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And quiet house today. We're on to county report, and County Commissioner Catherine Getty is here.
Commissioner Melker sends his regrets. He cannot be here tonight. I'll give you a little update. We approved some appointments to the Board of Canvassers. So Mike Cunningham from Yankee Springs was appointed as the Republican member, and Ann Richards was reappointed as the Democrat. We approved some health plans, new health plans for county employees. And we participate in a pool of healthcare providers, and we were able. And so for the first time, we've been able to offer priority health along with our Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan. So that's new for us, and we think that's going to really serve our employees better. We replaced HVAC controls, which was super exciting, right? But necessary, and that was over $100,000. Two PA 116, for, farmland preservation, which you guys are familiar with. We are moving all of our software over to BSNA for treasurer equalization, and planning and zoning. So that will align all those systems. I know that in the past, it's been entertained here to bring planning and zoning into BSNA. So if you do have those questions in the next year or so, you can always reach out to Jeff Kiesler at the county to see how that's working and how all those things tie in together. There's might be some efficiencies there, but I will say it cost over $165,000. So it's not cheap. Of course, that's all cloud-based now. Approved a couple of grants. At our 1-year evaluation of the new county administrator. So funny how time flies, but he got very good ratings. And, you know, it's taken on a lot from a county administrator that had been there for 30 years. So that was quite a challenge, you know, to bring somebody on board. And we did meet the new deputy county administrator and finance director. Today was his first day. We had our commissioner meeting this morning, so he was there. This does affect the townships. We approved a proposal from CoFile, and it's to preserve plat maps and images. I think some of you have been here when there's been challenges to original plats, like on Duncan Lake, and some of those are very, very old, hard to read, but important language to find out with that original plat language. While they're deteriorating, they've been laminated as a way to try to preserve them, and that caused further deterioration. So we did approve that proposal this morning. It's about $193 a page, and they're I think some of you have seen them. They're bigger than 11 by 17, and they hang in the Register of Deeds office. And some of them are really bad shape, but they are the original document. It's important to preserve that original document for things just like what happens at Duncan Lake from time to time. Approved our clerk's fees for the year. There were no changes in any of our clerk fees. We're switching to a county dental and vision insurance program. We didn't have that before, and we really think that's going to help us with retention and recruitment for employees. So in the past, we had a reimbursement style system, but we had heard that for employee retention and trying to bring people on, it was really important that we had dental and vision insurance. And we approved our agreement with the chamber and EDA. So I know that was something that came before you last month. We approved that our contract with them at the same level that we had funded last year. But we have assumed some of the responsibilities in brownfield and land bank. So we felt like that was a pretty good compromise in funding the chamber. Any questions?
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
We are on to number 8, reserve fund with Dan Bellenheiser.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for inviting me to your meeting tonight. Am I limited to 3 minutes too?
You've got 5.
Okay, I'll try not to be too much longer. I do appreciate being invited to your meeting. I've been your auditor for, I was trying to remember exactly the year that I started, but it was in the late 90s. So I've been working on the township. And I've always enjoyed working with all the people we have here. I've only been to your board meetings a few times, so I appreciate that opportunity to talk to you. Do you happen to have your financial statements in front of you? Probably not. If not, then, that's okay. We'll get really specific about it. So that's perfectly okay.
Okay.
What I usually like to do when I have an opportunity to talk to a board like this is talk about three main things, and those are the auditor communications. We issued a couple letters to you this year. Give you a few brief comments about your financial condition, and we talk about any recommendations we might have. So it's always important to us that we start with the auditor's report. That's what you hired us to do, to give an opinion on the financial statements. It's known as an unmodified opinion, which means it's a clean opinion, but far too often I hear in the media that the auditor issued a clean opinion, so everything must be fine. And sometimes nothing could be further from the truth. The fact is that the state of Michigan won't accept our audit report unless it's unmodified. The only way we can get to an unmodified report is if management or all of you make all the corrections or adjustments that we ask you to do. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. Also in the auditor's report, we talk about several things. Actually, I'm old enough now that I memorized a 3-paragraph report when I was in school. Now it's 3 pages. So there's a variety of reasons for that, but in a good way, we get right to the opinions, and we talk about responsibilities to make it really clear who's responsible. We helped you prepare this document. Sometimes it gets to be like a phone book. My younger staff members, when I say phone book, they don't know what that is. So that's always kind of amusing, but some people in your positions think that because we prepared this for you, it's our responsibility. So people will ask me, well, in your report, it says this, but it's ultimately all of your responsibility for these financial statements, as well as the internal controls or the checks and balances over recording the transactions. So that's really important to me that you know who has the responsibility for that. Another letter we issue it goes by a couple different names. We call it our management letter. And now for the last 10 years or so, we have to put in writing about 6 to 8 different things that we didn't have to before, all in response to Enron and WorldCom and all these highly publicized financial failures. We talk about things like qualitative aspects of accounting practices, which is really boring, so we skip over that. But there's a section always related to communications regarding internal controls. And that always generates the most attention from board members and citizens, because we talk about things like material weaknesses and significant deficiencies, which are terrible sounding terms that I didn't come up with. But if we identify those problems in internal controls, we have to put that in writing, tell you about it, tell the state about it, and that type of thing. So it's important to me that I mention that we identified 2 material material weaknesses. One of those has to do with the ambulance fund. You have a unique challenge here in your township with the ambulance service. It's a very good service, but the accounting for that can be a little challenging and very different from anything else a clerk or treasurer in a township has to deal with. Because you're talking about enterprise fund accounting where you charge, where you record charges on the accrual basis of accounting, you have contractual adjustments. So it's more challenging than just recording a receipt or a disbursement. And that has been a challenge here for most of the 25 years that I've worked with the township. I met Kathy for the first time tonight, and I really love the chance to set aside some time with her and show her how to do those things, because if you don't have any training in it, it's really hard to do. So we identified that as a material weakness because the receivable wasn't reconciled and the charges weren't all recorded correctly. So that has been an issue. The other material weakness is something that we report probably 95% of the time. If you went to the state's website and looked at different financial statements, most townships have a material weakness related to the fact that you're not able to prepare this document and record all the adjustments that are necessary. I personally think that's an unfair expectation, that you know how to record all the enterprise fund transactions, that you record all receivables and payables and that type of thing. In that management letter, you can see probably 12 different adjustments that we made, but that's really similar to a lot of townships your size, that we help you record year-end accruals for those types of things and track your capital assets. So it's important that you know that that's called a material weakness, but it's something that almost every township has. My goal, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but to minimize those over time. I think you have the people here that are capable of doing that to learn how to record those adjustments so the auditor isn't doing them. Just a few brief comments about your financial condition. If I look at you have two types of funds, governmental, which are funded by taxes and state share revenue. And then you have your proprietary funds, which are funded by charges for services. Those are your ambulance fund and your sewer fund. I look at your governmental funds, your primary operating fund is the general fund. The main question I get from board members is what's our fund balance? And is that a good number? An auditor really can't tell you what a good fund balance is. That's really that's up to you. You know, how much money do you need to set aside in a savings account really for emergency purposes, capital outlays, things like that. The number is about $2.2 million as of March 31. In order to get a reference, you have to measure it against something. So I usually compare that number to your current year's expenditures. The math works out to 207% of your current year's expenditures. I would say like a personal financial planner would tell an individual, if you have 3 to 6 months worth set aside in a savings account, which is what your fund balance really is, you're in good shape. So you're well above that. Most townships I work with shoot for about 100%. And a lot of them are at 100%. That's probably average in the state of Michigan. So you're at 207%, double that. There's nothing wrong with that. The state doesn't limit how much you have in fund balance. It's actually a good thing to have that much fund balance in an economic environment like we have now. You have a number of other funds, like your fire fund has an $845,000 fund balance. All of the governmental funds are healthy, with one exception. The Nofke Drive fund technically has a deficit of $15,000. Laura and Eric and I have worked to, you have to file a deficit elimination plan. If you ever have a deficit, the state sees you as a small part of themselves. So if you ever have a deficit in a fund, that's going to be their number one concern. And you will get a letter immediately asking how you're going to eliminate that. So very hopeful that that can be done next year. If I look at your proprietary funds, like I mentioned, it's the ambulance fund and the sewer fund. There you have equity of about $880,000 in the ambulance fund and $283,000 in the sewer fund, both adequate. As you know, probably all of you know that $283,000 seems like a lot to your average sewer customer, but that can be wiped out with a significant repair very quickly. So it's certainly not excessive at all. The positive thing that I see with your financial condition is when I look at your income statement and cash flow statement, especially the ambulance fund, which has often been a concern here in prior years. That fund generated operating income of $2,000, but it's positive. And it hasn't always been that way. Positive cash flow as well for both of those funds. So got to credit the chief with some of that. He's done a really nice job of increasing those fees. But it's something to continue to monitor. Are you generating enough fees to cover those costs? And I guess I couldn't tell you what it was last year, but this year you are doing that. You have positive cash flows with the ambulance fund. That's always been a concern of previous board members. I could probably talk a lot longer about your financial statements, but I think I'm past 5 minutes.
I was only kidding. You got as long as you.
As long as it's useful to you, that's the most important thing. So on recommendations, this is probably useful. I already talked about assisting with the ambulance transactions. That's, like I said, once you get a process in place, it's not a difficult thing to do. Your previous clerk did a really nice job, really on her own. I never had a chance to really sit down with her and help her understand those things. So she got close, but if you're not reconciling that every single month, just like you do your personal bank account, it's just gonna build, the problems are gonna build, you're gonna have more problems. So I'd love to sit down with Kathy and work through that and show her how to do the reconciliation. And then the other thing is working towards fewer audit adjustments. I'd love to learn Kathy's background and know how much experience she has in accounting, but I've also known that you've had capable clerks or deputies here in the past that can help with that. So if we get to the point where we can do fewer audit adjustments and limit that list of corrections, I think that would be good for you and your citizens and everybody else. So that's our long-term goal. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have either now, or we're always available by email or phone call throughout the year. We don't want you to see us as being here for a couple of days during the year and then coming to a meeting, but we're always available.
Any questions?
No, I appreciate you going over everything. I know we read it, but.
Well, if you get a chance, well, another relatively new thing, it's probably been more than 10, well, it's well more than 10 years now. There's something called management discussion and analysis in that report. That was never required until a significant change in financial reporting. And a number of supervisors have told me, I honestly couldn't understand all the numbers in the financial statements. But when not necessarily supervisors, but I've heard that comment from a number of board members that would say, well, now I can understand, because it's a narrative explanation of what happened this year, as opposed to just looking at financial statements. So that's always a good thing to do. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. We're on to emergency services report, chief.
So this month we have a little increase of average response to people. We got up to 6.6 members per call. But when you look at it, our high acuity calls for structure fires, we averaged 8 people. And then for motor vehicle accidents, 9.2. So we're in the right direction again. Finally got under 1 minute for our out the door time last month. So pretty proud of our crews. Our response time in Thornapple Township, 7 minutes and 32 seconds. And for outside the township, 10 minutes and 30 seconds. We did, in the month of October, we did 276 calls for service, and we were able to transport, or for transfers, we did 59, so our transfer numbers are down, and our emergency calls are up.
All right. Thank you, chief. We have no unfinished business. Number 11, new business, general request for use of the township hall. I was approached by the Middleville DDA asking to use our township hall, this area, on December 4th and December 6th for different DDA events. I believe that on the 4th, Santa and Mrs. Claus are going to be in attendance here. And on the 6th, we are going to invite businesses from the M37 corridor to use this space, to crafts and whatnot. And also the Rotary Club is going to be serving hot dogs on behalf of the DDA in the entryway. But I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the use of the township hall on December 4th and December 6th by the Middleville DDA. I'll make that motion. I'll support. Motion with support to approve the use of the township hall on December 4th and December 6th by the Middleville DDA. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Will you be here?
I will.
Are there fees associated with that?
There are none. Are there any further questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. That's gonna be a lot warmer in here than out there. I think Santa and Mrs. Claus will greatly appreciate being in here. New business B, general request for special assessments, and Laura, want to speak to this?
Yeah, there's a new sheet for everybody. There's a list of all the assessments to go on the tax bill this year. I need to change item B for the Mill Road. Still not sure if it's exactly gonna be 63 properties. We had some drop off the list. And I'm gonna have to get some advice to find out if I can really add them. If I can keep 67 on or 63. They, I don't know who we're gonna have to get a hold of.
Well, how would they drop off?
They became inactive. They took 4 parcels and combined them into one, so they're a new number that we never had listed as one we can charge the assessment on. and the other ones are inactive, so I think that this will probably end up being the final number. 63 parcels at the price I have on here. But I'm gonna try to confirm that before actually, I've got a week or so to get it figured out, but otherwise it's all the, special assessments for the winter bill. Oh, yeah, new reports, or new message.
That's got numbers.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
So I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the special assessments as listed A through F for the 2025 winter tax bill.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. Motion with support to approve the below A through F special assessments for the winter 2025 tax roll. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes. To come back to the Mall Road thing for just a second, if they combine the properties, my guess or my assumption is that there are no homes on 3 of those properties. If there were 4 properties that became 1, is that what I understood you to say?
Yeah, and then it's good,
So they all,
but it's a new parcel number, and the way we went out to everybody, we had.
yeah, I
I
understand
think
that.
that's the reason I can't.
Okay. So we're not adding more cars or anything like that, or any, no less cars. We didn't tear a house down or anything like that.
I think all 4 properties are vacant.
Okay, all right. And then I had a question about Duncan Lake sewer fees. I just don't recall this from past years. Is it typical to have delinquent fees there?
Yeah, some people every year.
Okay,
In fact,
and then
it's,
they pay it through their taxes
yeah, it's about their tax
and
bill,
get real, otherwise it goes up for a tax sale.
right?
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Diane, can you roll call?
Bouchard,
Yeah,
Campbell,
Yes,
Maidenblick,
Yes.
Rarig,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Stanton,
yes.
Imaj.
Yep.
All right, we're on to new business C, which is a agenda request for a bubbler ordinance. And Sandy, would you like to speak to that?
Briefly, I guess, there was some concern on a section of Duncan Lake where the guy last year had a bubbler, which caused the ice to not form. There's a concern that ice skaters, snowmobilers, anything, winter sports could end up going down, so.
Okay, so that's the reason this came about.
That is the reason.
I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the bubbler ordinance for the prevention of weakened ice on local bodies of water to assure the safety of our residents.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. Motion with support to approve, the enclosed bubbler ordinance for the prevention of weakened ice on local bodies of water to assure the safety of our residents. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
I kind of have a little bit of a lack of understanding of the requirements there. Now, if a person owns the property, do they really own the property when it's a body of water? I mean, I would like to think that if I owned a dock, because I'm a piece of property that I thought I owned, I would think I would have the right to run a bubble if I wanted. And if somebody else wanders on that area, it's on them, not me, I would think. Nobody's supposed to guarantee that there's safe ice on the lake.
I don't think it's a private lake though.
This is not,
It's
it's a public lake.
It's a
public lake, but I just wondered where ownership lies when you own the land next to it, you own the lot of property there. does ownership extend into the lake? I know the water is considered to be public ownership. But I just wonder if we're infringing on people's rights, that's all.
Catherine, I know.
I-
How far-
Nixon.
Yeah.
Oh,
It depends. There's whole dissertations on how late, where the ownership goes in, because it's a point center unless it's an odd shaped lake. And I don't know enough, and I assume that your attorneys reviewed this for its legal status, right?
It's been reviewed by our attorney already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it must be a legal way to control access, just like the length of docks and things like that.
I'll make a couple of comments. These aren't questions, try to answer this, and I'm not an attorney. But I was talking with, Mr. Mattice, who is an attorney on this, and he suggested that, where you have a permanent dock, if you have one of those, you need to get state, permit to do that, to install it. And in this case where this instance happened, there was not a permanent dock or a permanent boat lift, okay? So there's no allowance for a bubbler in that situation. And then secondly, the bubbler that got used, I don't know if it's actually called a bubbler, but it was a massive machine. It took out ice along about 1/8 of a mile stretch of the shoreline, way beyond his property ownership on the shoreline. And so that prevented others, adjacent neighbors, from accessing the ice from their property. So that's just a fact to what happened. I can't speak for, I'm not up on riparian rights or anything like that. And you touching on that, but you comment, that's. So that's what I want to share.
Are there any further questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, Diane, your roll call.
Dimash,
Why not?
Rarick,
Yes.
Maidenflick,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Bouchard.
Yes.
Okay, we're in a new business D. And Chief, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, so as the fire department's grown, we've had a need of more administrative work. I still pull a lot of calls. I was on 4 of them today. And I am constantly in between calls working on administrative stuff. It'd be nice to have an administrative assistant. It was brought actually by the emergency service committee to me, not me to them. I'm not sure exactly how we would create the position, and I've actually requested to have a personnel and compensation committee meeting to discuss in more detail if it's approved this evening. But definitely not only myself, but with the new EMS school that with the EMT schools that we're teaching and the demand for that. And then I still want to create a prevention division that we are doing proactive inspections of buildings. And there'll be a lot of paperwork and administrative staff would be needed for that as well. So I think it's just starting the conversation. We don't have a specific work requirement for them yet, or idea of hours, but I've talked to some of the other people who would need it. And they all were excited to have someone who could be an administrative assistant at the department, not just for me, but for all the administrative functions that we do.
Okay. I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve creating a position of administrative assistant, EMT/firefighter for a cost not to exceed $40,000 per year.
And that's $25 an hour, about 230 hours a week. That's where I got that.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion of support to approve creating the position of administrative assistant EMT / firefighter for a cost not to exceed $40,000. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a few questions and concerns, which I know we've emailed about. I don't know how many hours exactly trigger the need to pay benefits. But-
I did look into that today.
Yeah,
So the American, or the, ACA says that for that requirement, you have to have more than 50 full-time employees. I thought it was 50 employees in general. So there is no requirement for giving health benefits to anyone
I think
Unless we have
that's-
50. unless we have 50 full-time employees. So,
I feel like it's 32 hours a week. But we have to check. Because we can't have people on the plan if they don't work so many hours a week. And that's with our agreement with the health insurance.
yeah, what I'm saying is we could work someone. The ACA says if you have 50, it's 30 hours average a week. And you have to, if you have 50 full-time employees. We don't have that, so we wouldn't have to worry so much about it. My bigger concern is that, I want to be able to maintain operational integrity, and there could be possibilities of this person's running not just administrative work, but we're going to be running calls with this person as well. That we might average more than 30 hours in a week, even though our plan is to have only 30 hours a week. So
in which case would the 40,000 be enough?
that's just their wages, yeah, it would cover, if I did the math right, 30 times 52 times 25. I think it came out to a little less than $40,000.
But if they're EMT and running many calls,
Well, then I would think that would go into paid on call, like that would shift and they'd be paid out of that fund, not the administrative assistant fund. Because that's how it is to our
then we
full-time
probably
people.
would still have to do
We had to,
benefits though.
we had to figure out, get
Yeah.
more details.
I mean, we have a lot of people that work over 30 hours in a week,
Okay.
on average, but it's not scheduled. You know, like they work 24 hours a week and then they come back on calls, so we're not scheduling them for that time. I think it's something, that's what I said, I think we need to work out the details and
All
the
right.
personnel and compensation and make sure we talk to attorneys and make sure we're doing everything correctly. But the need is definitely there.
If you're planning on meeting with like personnel and compensation about it, how soon do you want to look for a person? Do you want someone before our next board meeting?
Well, as soon as we get the details out, yeah, probably. Question is, would I find someone in that amount of time? I don't know if the demand will be high or low on us. I have no idea what the desire will be for it.
When is the next personnel committee meeting?
I think we've got it scheduled for Thursday afternoon, I think 3
I
o'clock.
believe it's 3 o'clock for the
Oh,
revenue.
So it's, yeah,
Coming up quick. Is there a way we can approve it without the hours and limitation here? Just to be determined by the personnel committee? So that it can be advertised and you're planning on having this person basically do payroll as well,
Yeah,
which would hopefully help the merging of ESO and BSNA.
I guess we're approving the creation of this position with the cost not to exceed 40,000 a year.
I'm afraid the cost could end up being more than 40,000.
well, my
Although-
hope is it's just for that position.
Just for the
The
administrative.
administrative piece. If they go outside that, then they
That
would
would
be in
Okay.
shift work or they would be on paid on call.
Okay,
Well, can we do this, but with the approval of the personnel compensation committee after the meeting? I mean, I agree to the person, but as long as you guys all work out the details.
That's kind of what I have in mind.
Because if you don't want to wait till December for us to vote on it, if we vote on this, as long as you, as a personnel committee, works out the details,
Exactly.
this will be 3.
Everybody's.
Whoever's on, it, you guys are coming.
Comment, I think I heard you, Laura, say earlier, an FTE is 32 hours. I'm reading here, it's an AI overview, of 30 hours or more in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, we have to check with our plan. I don't know the details of
When you
it.
say our plan,
Our health insurance plan, we have, it's all, whatever plan you end up with, that tells you how many hours.
Yeah, but we don't,
right?
the ACA, we are not required because we don't have.
I was gonna say, the ACA is pretty clear about that. For under 50 employees, we don't have to provide health insurance.
Correct.
But we
That's
can't
what you said
single
earlier.
out somebody and say they can't.
Not right, doesn't say we can't do it, it's just we don't have to.
So this job, we're looking, you guys are thinking you're gonna look for someone 30 hours a week with no benefits.
Correct.
And that's the way it'll be advertised to them and
Correct.
they should know.
Okay, is there any further questions, comments, or concerns?
Just one. Fiscal impact, it says not to exceed 40,000, we probably ought to have the word annually on that. Because it looks like a one-time expense this way.
Okay. Fair. So who made the motion and who supported it?
I think you.
You made the motion.
I seconded it. I'll withdraw my motion.
And I will withdraw my second. And then we
And
will,
on behalf to entertain a motion to approve creating the position of administrative assistant, EMT/firefighter, for cost not to exceed $40,000 per year,
subject to
subject to,
approval by the personnel committee.
sounds good.
Second.
Are you making that motion?
No, you just did, and I
Okay.
seconded it.
All right.
Okay.
Motion with support to approve creation of administrative assistant EMT/firefighter. Contingent on approval of
Personnel.
Personnel and Compensation Committee. For a cost not to exceed $40,000 per year. Are there any questions, comments, concerns on this? Hearing none, Diane, your roll call.
Maidenblick,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Demosh,
Yes,
Rarig,
Yes.
Stanton.
Yes. Okay. We are on to general request, to approve the matrix bid for the improvements to HVAC at the fire station. Chief, would you like to?
Yeah, so I think we've talked about it a little bit, but the heating and cooling system in the station and the controls are both outdated. In fact, we're having problems with the controls now that they've offered to come in and do lots of work to them and cost a lot of money, but I'm just manually controlling the controls online to keep the station at the right temperature. Because I don't want to invest a lot of money if we're going to redo our whole system. So we're at the end of life for both our heating and cooling system. And the matrix bid would not be actually putting the system in, they're designing the system. They would help with the build and design, but they are not a company that actually does the work. They're an engineering firm. And their job is to help us walk through the most effective way to have, one of the things we don't have in the department right now is redundancy built in. If we lose a boiler, then we don't have heat. So that's one piece that I'd like, and I'd like to have, that we don't have controls, that we have our systems zoned so they're specifically point at specific points that you can control heat and cooling, not via the internet like it is currently, where the controls are very complicated. So those are kind of my hopes and dreams to get out of the system. Just have a little bit simpler system that has some redundancy to it.
Okay, so I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the matrix bid to help us design a more robust HVAC system at the fire station.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion with support to approve the matrix bid for cost not to exceed 25,000. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
Are they going to oversee the actual
They
concern?
will,
Okay.
yep.
Anything further? All right. Diane, can you roll call?
Bouchard,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Imaj.
Yep.
Maiden Blick,
Yes.
Rarig,
Yes,
Schaefer,
Yes.
Stanton.
Yes. All right, you're in new business, F. And Chief, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, so, over the last 2 years, we've been talking about getting a new brush truck. I've attempted twice at different grants with no success. And currently what the road commission does, the village of Middleville, Caledonia Township, they purchase vehicles on the state purchase plan. They use them for 3 to 5 years and sell them back for almost what they paid for them. I'd like to start this rotation to pay more costs of repairs. And the brush rig we have right now is to the point that it needs so much repair to be really safe. And it doesn't have all the safety things that new vehicles have anyway. And it does have airbags, but it doesn't have the safety equipment that brand new vehicles have. So my plan is to use the skid unit that's in the back of our brush truck, put it in the new one, and then sell the brush truck that we have now. Because of the diesel engine that's in the current brush truck, it has supposedly about a lot of value. I think, I'll get between $15,000 and $20,000 at auction. So we'll use that to offset the overall cost of the vehicle.
Okay, so we have to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a new brush truck for a cost not to exceed $47,000 for the truck and not to exceed $15,000 for radios, lights, sirens, and graphics. I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Motion of support to approve the purchase of a new brush truck for a cost not to exceed $47,000 for the truck and $15,000 for radios, lights, sirens, and graphics. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question on this one and the next one. It'll be the same question. Do you have money in your capital improvement fund for these vehicles, not including the stage money?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of money within this. I mean, I have over $300,000 in reserve just in the EMS fund that I left in there last year, just in case. That's 3 months. That's 3 months worth of spending that we have in our, every month in the EMS fund, our revenues have outpaced our expenditures. So we're at about $20,000 a month cash flow positive on the EMS side. Our fire side, it varies from month to month. Some months we break even, and other months we're taking from the overall cost of the millage that we have. But cost wise, we are pacing out that we are gonna be. I had budgeted that we'd be at $1 million of revenue for EMS, and if we're gonna be staying at the pace we are, we're gonna be almost 1.3 million for this year. And we have a reserve of $330,000 that I left in the EMS fund. So we should have plenty of cash that will be able to afford it, even without Sage Trust. Sage Trust, I know they said between 60 and 90 days, the purchase of these vehicles are 12 to 16 weeks out. So the Sage Trust should be, the fund should be here for it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not spending the sage money before it's here, because we don't know how much it's gonna be, but you've got the money already in your capital fund to spend it.
I believe so. I mean, I've got from what's on there, I can't remember the total amount that we have in cash reserves in the two funds, it's like 1 million. I don't remember what it is yet.
If I'm reading the document here, you got 1,163,000 plus.
I just haven't seen your list of what you were gonna purchase still in this year, and what's, what's left to spend still.
Not much.
Okay.
And they're small items. We have a bunch of repair items that we need to do, but I mean, probably less than $30,000 at this point, unless there's something catastrophic that happens that I don't know about. We blow up an engine or an accident happens or something that I'm not anticipating.
Are there any further comments, concerns?
I got a little thought that kind of rung through my little head. We had a bond in the past that was supposed to be for equipment. And these particular pieces of equipment were listed as things that the bond was supposed to be used for. Now, whatever became of that, I know one of the bonds we never opened. Did we use up the other one?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all.
Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Diane, can you roll call?
Campbell,
Yes.
Dimash.
Yep.
Maiden Blick,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Bouchard.
Yes.
All right, I'll do a gender request for a command vehicle. Chief,
It's kind of in the same boat, prior to me coming here, there was a chief's vehicle, command vehicle that had fallen to disarray, and then at that time, the funds of the department were in a situation where they could purchase one. We're in a spot now that we have the state's trust that's coming in, and we definitely have enough funds to purchase one. I use my personal vehicle to go on calls all the time. I use my personal vehicle to go do inspections. It's kind of weird pulling up in my personal vehicle and a non-marked vehicle to go do inspections at places. It's kind of weird. It wouldn't just be for me. I mean, I plan to drive it home because I respond on like 70% of calls. And if you count once after 5 o'clock, it's probably more like 95% of calls that come in on. And that'll allow me to go direct to the scene. And there's lots of research that shows that command vehicles support higher, or reduce, deaths and fires because you're in a quiet environment, able to listen to the radios and not outside. So should also be able to be used for other people going to classes and anytime someone has to go to Home Depot to pick up stuff for the training facility, so my truck, so, that's my hope for this, open dreams for this vehicle.
okay, so I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a command vehicle for a cost not to exceed $51,000 for the truck and not to exceed $15,000 for radios, lights, sirens, and graphics. I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Motion with support to approve the purchase of a command vehicle for a cost not to exceed $51,000 for the truck and not to exceed $15,000 for radios, lights, sirens, and graphics. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Diane, can you roll call?
Dimash,
Yes.
Maiden Blick,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Stanton,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
All right, we are on to number 12, committee reports. Administration. Cemetery, anything new, Kathy?
No, we finished the project, up the Memorial Circle. I don't know if anyone saw it, but it looks really good. Mhm.
NTA did a good
Yeah,
job.
they did.
I saw pictures, I haven't physically been out there, but the pictures look nice.
And we got a few comments from, people that visit there quite often, and they came in to tell us how good it looks, so.
Okay. Middleville DDA, we've got, of course, coming up, Christmas on the River, December 4th and 6th. December 4th is a Thursday. December 6th is, business night and the parade. Parade starts at 6 PM, so it's a night parade again, which will be nice to have back. And like I said, the Middleville Rotary Club will be serving hot dogs in our entryway here in our corner. On behalf of the Middleville DDA, they are purchasing the hot dogs. I'm just simply, well, the Rotary Club is simply preparing and distributing. So that's gonna be nice. So make sure you come down and get your hot dogs on the 6th.
Is that for free?
It is for free.
Free, I have.
Yeah,
Will the hot dogs be cooked inside or outside?
all the way through.
That's good. I like a little raw.
You don't like rare ones, eh? Hey. Elections, Kathy, how was that?
Elections went really well. We were really organized and, we were told that it was actually our first time to have a perfect election. Everything was, accurate, no errors, and, so it went really good.
All right. Emergency services.
I think we nailed it.
Finance.
I can say that by the end of the month, all the tax bills will be out. I've been busy with that, and then Kathy and I have been working on, our coordination between the departments. All good.
Okay. Parks and Recreation. We happen to have the director here. Anything you'd like to speak to?
Chair, I'm.
Oh, not the director, sorry, chairperson.
So the 5-year rec plan should be sitting on your counter or in a public space where people can review it. The public notice went out a couple of weeks ago, for its 30-day review. And then we'll have public hearings at the village, township, school, and our TAPRC meeting in early December to approve that. So I did get a draft of the resolution, so I'll forward them on so that you'll be prepared to have that in your packet for December.
Okay,
Have you had any feedback yet?
I've gone through a fair amount of rec plan updates and generally don't get feedback. Because it goes, I mean, we've vetted it through so many groups already. But that should not discourage you all from reviewing it again. And maybe somebody will comment on it.
all right, personnel and compensation. We've got a meeting scheduled later this week to go over some things with the chief and property and public utilities. And I think so, Gary, you covered it. Well, work on that matrix, but all right, anyway, property and public utilities, I've got, a couple of bids in to put driveways into the, 2.5 acres on the river that the township owns. And hopefully that can get done this year yet. Got Todd Borman involved, and he's got some suggestions. I'll probably go going over some things with him, but I think it's a positive thing. So we'll have an actual driveway instead of using someone else's driveway that crosses two properties to get to actually access it. Roads and highways.
I don't have anything new there.
Duncan Lake Sewer,
Anything new there either.
I think everything's running, well, probably I will be scheduling a meeting for that along with another budget meeting. Maybe early December for the budget meeting. And, yeah. So we are on to second public comment period. Anyone from the public is welcome to come up and speak. The only caveat is to please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less.
First, I had a family funeral, really, quite close to the new, Veterans Memorial, and it looks really nice. I think it, really reflects how much the township cares about veterans and just people's experience in the cemetery. The drive going back to access your, parcel on the river, that's been a long time coming, so congratulations on getting to this point, because one of the reasons for getting it was emergency access, another emergency access to the river. And without a driveway back there that can accommodate a large truck to be able to get access, that property wasn't doing you any good. So, and I think that this is gonna open up the trail as well throughout that section. So kudos. And then just a reminder that tomorrow for Veterans Day, TK Schools has their ceremony in the large gym at 10 o'clock.
They ask that you get there a little bit early to get registered as a visitor in the schools, but I think 5 minutes, I don't know.
I wouldn't get there 5 minutes before. I would get there 15 minutes or so before, because it's, it fills up really quickly, so.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Are there anybody else from the public that would like to speak to anything? 5 minutes, you got it. Okay. We're on to poll of members. David.
Well, I'll just say happy birthday to the Marine Corps and happy Veterans Day.
Okay. Sandy.
I'm just curious, I saw that there's a notice in the shop or whatever it's called, it's on the news, that the village is looking for a new trustee. Anyone know who's going off
Hey,
and or why?
I believe it is Ann Williams.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
I'm not sure for the reason why.
Okay.
I believe it's Ann Williams.
Yeah.
Ross.
Okay, so I'm not good at scoping things out. So what was the result of the elections locally? I didn't hear what was,
It passed.
what passed.
It was, a knowledge for the schools and,
ISD.
yeah.
KISD,
Yeah, I see.
but passed locally, right?
Yeah.
But it's one big vote for the entire ISD, so
Yeah.
even if
Even if-
Thornapple would have voted 100% against it,
Yeah.
and everybody else was for it, we're still in.
Okay,
I guess every county ISD didn't pass the.
I would expect there might be a recount there. I think it failed by 13 votes, I think. Is that?
Is that close? I don't think it was that close.
Oh, Kent ISD? I thought it was Barry.
For Barry.
No, Barry ISD didn't make it.
Right.
That was,
But we're part of Kent.
Right. So everybody that voted for the Kent ISD in Berry County, it passed by 13 votes.
Oh,
But then when you combine us with everybody in Kent County,
I
it
see.
fairly passed.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Well, you're obviously in support of it by 13. Kurt,
I want to thank the, planning commission and including Sandy for, jumping on the, bubbler ordinance and getting the effort and the work that went into that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we
You know, there's a number
really
of
want to push
residents
that
out
through
there.
before winter.
So, thank you. That's
Mhm.
all I have.
okay, Laura. Kathy, all right, well, I look forward to going to the high school tomorrow and, for the Veterans Day celebration.
Ceremony.
Ceremony, there we go. I've never been to it yet, so this will be a first.
Bring a tissue.
Yeah. Okay. With that being said, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Or motion of support to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at